Silence rules the air. Well, so far things look like it's going to be a fairly quiet morning. Since there's no one else here yet. And it may stay that way. So what am I going to talk about? Well, I'll talk about my new hat. I got this last week. That's my Death Wish coffee hat. See the skull and crossbones? Pretty cool hat, huh? That's what's in the cup. I am my only live viewer today. It's interesting. So the question is, can I entertain myself? Apparently I'm not entertaining to very many people because there's no one here to watch. Not too surprised though. I've got to learn how to get the whole notification thing out there soon. I'm not sure how to do that. I put it out and I don't even know if it ever goes out. And there's got to be other ways to do that. I'm sure that I'm missing something. And I hate to keep asking people because I don't like to bug people about that kind of stuff. But you'll have to do something. Because I'm the only one tuning in to watch myself. I know some people know this already, but I had to have several teeth removed this week. And I still got a couple of chipped ones here. I'm going to see if I can get fixed, but everything went really well. It was on Wednesday morning about 9:45. Karki, welcome. Well, you just be safe and run your errands, and I'll try to keep you occupied for a little bit. So far, you and I are the only ones here, so I may get a little bit boring. But, of course, it's always good to have you in. Today's swimming lessons are just errands. And you probably can't talk or type, so don't try while you're driving. I'll just make it up as I go. How about that? I'm going to assume you guys still have plenty of snow up your way. Rumor has it we had some here the other night, but it rained during the night after the snow, and it washed it all away, so I never even saw any. I'm still catching up on being tired. I had to have several teeth pulled the other day, and it went really well, and I thought, wow, this is great. Thursday, after the day after, I felt wonderful. I thought, wow, I've never had teeth pulled and it, feel this good before. But yesterday it started catching up with me. I didn't feel good yesterday all day, and my jaw started hurting more. I guess all the numbness and everything else finally completely wore off, and my mind reattached itself to the pain receptors, maybe. So that was a little bit rough, and I still feel a bit run down today. Good morning, Bill. 29 degrees here now, just outside of Atlantic City. Well, it's about the same here in Tennessee. I think, in fact, it might have been just a little bit colder down here today. I think seems like it was 23 when I got up. Or that's what they were saying on the news. And we're supposed to get up to about 44, I think, today. It looks like it's about 30 now. Bill, do you guys have a lot of snow? I know some areas along the coast were getting it, some weren't, so. Well, Bill, that could happen. It's been known to happen from time to time. It's supposed to be like that today and tomorrow. The sun's supposed to shine, though, which is nice. It hadn't done that lately as much. But then I think by the middle of the week, it's supposed to be in the 60s down here. So I guess spring will spring, and we'll see if it lasts. It's probably just a trick. It'll probably come back. We usually get a little bit more winter in March, usually. One of the biggest blizzards we ever had, at least in recent history, was in the middle of March. Now, that ice is bad, though, Bill. You get a little ice and put a couple inches of snow on top of it, and you've got recipe for disaster. When we lived in Nashville for 14 years or so. Nashville always got ice. Oh, well, those Funkos are an R2-D2 and a Mandalorian. And that's the only two I own presently. And if I can fight off the bug, that's probably the only two I will own. Good morning, Dean. The turkey legsters here. We are saved. Hip, hip, hurrah. Did you bring any turkey legs with you, Dean? I had grits for breakfast. A little bit of smoked turkey would go good with that. Anyway, those Funkos, I won those from Monarch Moments. One night they were doing some kind of trivia game or something, and I happened to, I won them, and then I accused them of trying to get me hooked on them. So They said, first two are always free. But I haven't gone off the deep end yet to order, more. I have no idea if those two in particular are worth anything more than what, face value or not. I don't even know what they cost when you buy them new. Good for you, Dean. I'm glad you did. Who has turkey legs at Epcot? Can you get them at the American Pavilion, or you have to go somewhere else to pick them up at Epcot? I can't remember. Whew. Oh, so he's right in the middle of all that mess then, Bill. That's terrible. I tell you what, they've that whole Texas thing has just been a boondoggle, if there ever was one. It's amazing how bad that's hit them. Oh, okay, Dean. That's the only place I could think of where they might have had them. So, come here. Hang on a minute. My buddy wants to say hi. Here. All right, look this way. Hey, look over here. I know everybody can't see him, so. Oh, so it happened while he was gone then. Bill, that's, well, good or bad. Ain't no telling what he may come home to. Elsa went to Texas. She sure did. She raised a little hell down there with him, pardon the expression, but she wasn't going to let him off that easy. It's still a mess. I was watching on the news this morning. I mean, even if they've got power back on, most people still can't drink the water. Want some coffee? Nope. Yeah, I believe she was, Bill. I think she was pissed off about something. And she let him know real quick. I have some friends that live out there. I meant to check in with them. They're out in I guess the far west panhandle. And there's a section out there that's not on the rest of the Texas grid. There's two little areas in Texas that aren't on the main Texas grid, ERGOT or whatever they call it. No, Dean, he wouldn't take it. I offered it to him. You want some more? He needs some, I'll tell you that. He sleeps about 20 hours a day, so a little bit of coffee probably do him good. Yeah, Dean. So how was yesterday? Who all did you run into yesterday, Dean? Or, yeah, Dean. Thursday, Bill, but you're the one that went to Epcot, not Bill. You gonna go night? He is a lazy cat. I'll just tell you that right now. He definitely gets his sleep in. Oh, you did? I wasn't sure. I started to say I thought you might have seen Lynn over there, but I wasn't. I couldn't remember for sure. But I think I saw pictures on Instagram, either from you or from her. So that was cool. How was she feeling when you saw her, Dean? Or how were her knees holding up? Well, you made the rounds yesterday then, Dean. You did well. Hey, Tina McNeil. Howdy and welcome. You know, I need to do something. Bear with me a moment. Let me see if I can make this work. Tina, I'm trying to turn you blue if I can figure out how to do that correctly. I hope you don't mind. I don't realize I don't have any moderators in here today. Not that I need any. There's nothing much going on, but well, maybe you're sore for her then, Dean. Bill, I'm not sure. She may have posted her time, but I'm not positive about that. Hmm. Well, Tina, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. I didn't save it. Maybe it'll work now. Tina, post something. See if you've turned blue. And I do hope you don't mind me taking advantage of you by offering, making you, well, maybe I'm still not doing it right. Well, they heard Dean was coming. Hey, Dean, have you ever, worn a pedometer or anything, see how far you do walk at Disney World? Because I was amazed when we started doing that. I mean, it wasn't unusual to walk 10 miles, 10 or 15 miles, especially if you were at Epcot and did much moving around. Tina, are you still with us? She's still here. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. That's my problem here. I don't know what I'm doing, period, I don't think. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe she's not in here anymore. Okay. She must have fallen out. Oh, crap. I just killed somebody else, too. Anyway, there's car key back. Oh, she's back home. So, car key, Carol, do you guys still have snow? I don't know how much you ended up getting, but Dean, Dean, Dean. Surely that's not true. But I bet you'd be amazed how much you walk if you've ever checked it. I think I must have, Carol, because I was sitting here trying to talk to her. I was going to ask her to be a moderator on the list, and I couldn't get it to work. And I finally figured that's because she's no longer with us. So she must have stepped out or maybe fell off, or who knows, maybe it's weather related. Dean was telling Carol Dean was just telling us all about his 9 inches. That's still quite a bit of snow, although I'm not sure how much our friends in New York area they got. New Hampshire. Last time I talked to James Ryan, seems like he had well over 3 feet, which is a lot of snow. I've not seen that much snow, maybe once or twice in my life. So what else did you see, Dean? What else did you do or that was really fun at either Epcot or Animal Kingdom yesterday? All right, Bill, thanks for stopping in. Always great to have you come by, buddy. I really appreciate it. So yesterday I thought I saw somebody getting rained on, and I thought later it looked like the weather was halfway decent, so I wasn't sure about that. If you get back in time, Bill, and we're still hanging around, just jump back in. But otherwise, have a good day. So, Dean, tell me what was going on at Epcot? Later, Bill? Were all the are they between festivals, or was art still going on, or I've lost track. I don't know if it's already time for Flower and Garden to start, or if that works, Carol, let me know. I could use some. He might want to come up here and enjoy some leaf raking too while he's at it. Since I can't get out and do it, I need somebody to rake my leaves. Oh, the bats are cool. Those big fruit bats they've got down there are really interesting too. I worked with bats a little bit as part of my wildlife biology job for a while. We were trapping, or trapping sounds like a bad word, but we were live capturing bats and tagging them and monitoring, looking for endangered species in our area of the state, country. And because of the white nose syndrome and some other things that were going on with bats. So I find bats fascinating. They're just the neatest little creatures. Well, those in Disney World aren't little. They're huge compared to what we have around here. But they're just little fur balls, and they're really pretty. But man, they have got a mouthful of teeth. They look just like a little fox or something in the face, all of them. Okay, so it ends this coming Monday. That's what I wasn't sure if it already passed this past Monday or if it was coming up. So I wasn't sure about how much gap they had in between festivals. I've got to adjust my camera as I'm too close to the camera, and I fill up the whole screen, which is probably not saying anything about my size. Okay, now you know how to get him up there, Carol. Get some turkey legs ready, and he'll come up to do that shoveling. And most bats in this country are pretty small. Those that they have, those fruit bats from, I think those are Rodriguez fruit bats, if I'm not mistaken. They're from Indonesia, I think, or part of Asia. They're huge. I mean, in comparison, they're cat size almost. Well, at least squirrel size. The ones we used to catch, and we'd weigh them. We'd have to get them out of these nets. We had these real fun, what they call mist nets, and they'd get tangled up in the net chasing bugs. And we'd take them out of the net and weigh them, and they weigh a few grams. I weigh coffee out when I'm making my pot of coffee, like today, and I had 30 grams of coffee in my thing, and that's bats don't weigh that much. Most of them are much smaller. But they're just so fascinating. They're I mean, they're cute. They're like little kittens almost, except like I say, they got a mouthful of teeth. Of course, so do kittens, but bats are probably more inclined to use them on you. We had to get vaccinated for rabies if you're going to do that kind of stuff, just in case. And I don't know if anybody's ever had a problem with it and that I worked with, but we all got the vaccination, so we were all, we were all covered. Yeah, they're tiny. I mean, most bats are tiny, and I think the biggest bat we have around here is called a big brown, and it's still nothing compared to those that they have. Those you saw at Disney World yesterday or at Animal Kingdom, they've got some small ones there too, I guess. But I always think about the big fruit bats they have hanging out in that aviary that you can walk out and see, and they're, like I say, they're just huge. Flying foxes, I think they also call those. That's neat about them is everybody thinks bats are bloodsuckers and all that, but those big bats like that just pretty much eat fruit. In fact, I think that's about all they eat. The other neat thing about little bats like we have around here is they can eat their weight in insects. So at night they just eat up, well, I would say lots and lots of mosquitoes, but when you consider they don't weigh that much, maybe it's not that many. But mosquitoes are so tiny. I guess if you could eat 4 or 5 grams of mosquitoes, that'd still be a lot of mosquitoes. We can hear them flying through the woods and stuff. You can hear them clicking. That's kind of cool. And one of the ways we used to monitor them was, and you guys can tell me to shut up anytime because I'm rambling. I'm just spilling trivia out here. You can record. They make recorders that will pick up bat sounds, which a lot of times we don't even hear. And then you can take that and you can play it back and at the right speed and frequency for us to hear, and you can tell what kind of bats. You can actually tell what bats are out there flying around. What we were usually looking for here were Indiana bats, which are on the endangered species list, and gray bats, which aren't so much endangered. And they had this really cool bat called a red bat that was they're really pretty color. And another thing a lot of people don't realize is the bats we have here, a lot of them in the summertime, they don't live in caves. Some do. Some live in caves year round, or the roof of your house, the ceiling. But there's whole group of bats that spend their summers in trees. They land in trees when it gets daylight, and they like to get in the crevices and up under the bark. So if you got a tree with loose bark, they'll crawl up under there, and that's where they spend the day. And that's where Indiana bats, for example, that's where they birth their young and then raise their young are in the tree. So when I was doing my job, one of the things we had to do was kind of monitor when people wanted to cut trees, if just make sure if they were doing it, there weren't any bats living there. If it wasn't what we referred to as a bat tree, or had habitat for bats to get into. We'll do that, Dean. I'll check that out. Okay, I'm bored. I'm thinking I'm putting everybody to sleep here, so somebody else give me a topic. We're down to 3 players here, so. Like I said, I can get on to be a bit of a rambler, so if I'm boring you to death, tell me. And I can probably find something to talk about just about any topic. So if I can't talk about it, I'll make it up. What do you mean by that, Carol? 3 or 4, that you just have 3 or 4 in your area? 3 or 4 species? Probably the most common bats here are gray bats, and they're prone to have the white nose syndrome that's devastated populations all over the country. They've really hit gray bats hard because that's a disease that they tend to pass along in caves, and gray bats are primarily cave dwellers. So yeah, that's a problem with glasses, Dean. I never had to have glasses till I was 40 something, and I just really need them to read now and do the screen. But I tell you, I don't know how I grew up, worked with people that had to wear them all the time. And I don't know how they do it, cope with it. They fog up, they fall off, or you can't see what you're doing. Mike Wheeler, gummy bear. That's the kind of thing that could stick to a fella. I'm not sure if I like that or not. That's what Radar O'Reilly said on MASH. They were calling him Stinky. See, I still got teeth though, Mike. I'm not plum gummy bear. Yeah, when I wear a mask and try to read, my glasses fog up. I've had a problem with that. I ride motorcycles, or when I'm fit, I do. And that was one of the problems I always had, was my face shield on my helmets fogging over, or my sunglasses fogging up if it's raining. That's always been a problem. Mike has a secret to that, but the product Mike uses or used is hard to find anymore around here. Yeah, I'm sure they do. Bats are out hunting. They're looking for insects, so they tend to fly. The ones that live in the woods or around the woods tend to fly up and down trails. If there's a road or a logging road through a patch of woods, they'll fly along that corridor because it's open for them to fly through, and there's bugs there, so they'll fly through that. If there's a creek in the area, they'll fly above the creek. Again, because it's open, they can fly through there without running into things or trees and whatnot getting in their way. I mean, they've got their sonar or radar click navigation, but they still need a clear area to be able to get to hunt properly. We used to trap them over creeks and trap them over ponds because, again, they'll dip down and scoop water up as they fly. And they also like to hunt above water because there's almost always bugs there, flies and mosquitoes and that sort of thing. They're amazing little creatures. Now, Dean, if you're gone, you're fair game. We could say anything about you we want to. And I can't control what Mike Wheeler might say about anybody. You know, Mike, he's kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? A loose cannon. He sees all. I don't know, Mike. They've quit our grocery store. I'm sure if I got to enough grocery stores, I would find it. And I haven't been to Walmart lately. I'll have to admit, I was looking in the grocery store. They've got different kinds of stain remover now, and I couldn't find that stick. I used to have a stick of it here, and we used it up. And well, I never tried shaving cream. That's interesting. How'd that work, Mike? You just put it on and wipe it off, or let it dry a little bit? I mean, how did that? I've got some stuff here that's supposed to be fog polish, and honestly, it doesn't work a whole lot better than anything else I've ever used. What I always want you, and Mike, forgive me, I'm going to say something. But luge, the sled competition in the Olympics with luge, you know, they lay down on the little tiny sleds and go down the track. They wear helmets that fit very tight to their head, and their face shields fit right up against their face. I mean, they're literally touching their nose, and they don't fog up. And I've tried to find out for years how they treat them so they won't fog. I had one guy, luge guy on the U.S. luge team, actually wrote me back once and said that they use Rain-X. And that's possible. Rain-X works for a lot of things, but you're not supposed to use it on plastic. So I'm guessing that they use it, it works, then they just replace the shield if it starts to deteriorate. Because that's what I've always been told, that they would, you know, it would deteriorate the plastic over time. Yeah, Carol, she says she hadn't seen it either. I know we used to get it, and we used to use it here, but you know, last time I went to look after you told me about that, I've looked several times, and I've not been able to find it. Well, I'll try shaving cream. Not that I use a lot of shaving cream, so I say that, and I may not have any of that either, but I think I do. I've got I have this, which is supposed to help, and it probably does a little bit. It's a polish, and then I've got another one that I bought from another company that's seems to me like they're out of Finland or Norway, which I thought, well, they probably know how to keep glasses from fogging up. And again, it doesn't work much better than anything else, so I don't know what I'm doing. I've thought about that, Mike. I've thought about spitting on them just to see if that would work. I've never really learned that. I've never really tried that much. I've used goggles a little bit, but in pools, but not a whole lot. Mike, do you remember? I don't know, Carol, how much you've been to Disney, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but when Typhoon Lagoon first opened, you could do the scuba diving with the fish and the little sharks and stuff. That was fun. We did that 2 or 3 times. Snorkel, you got to swim across through the pool. Excuse me, I'm sorry, folks. My manners are not good this morning. That was a fun thing to do. Man, my coffee's going fast this morning. I've about drank a whole thermos already. It's can still do that, Mike. I didn't know. I thought they'd stop that. That's cool. My kids loved that. We did that several times. Now my wife, she always had trouble breathing with a snorkel, so she wasn't quite as enamored with it. But the girls loved it, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Tina McNeil's back. Hey, Tina. Tina, I was trying to give you a blue wrench a while ago, and I couldn't make it happen. And maybe it was because you weren't in here. So I'm going to try it again if you don't mind. And it's probably still not going to work. Oh, maybe it will. Post something, Tina. Let me see if you've got a wrench. I'm not very good at this. I apologize for being ignorant. That means that Dawn soap works for everything. Then that's like a miracle. I mean, you clean up oil spills with it, and animals with oil spills, and yeah, I got accused, Tina, of vaporizing you. That's everybody thought I did you in somehow, and I honestly wasn't trying to do that. I promise. But I still can't seem to make you a moderator. And I haven't asked Carol if she would like to be a moderator. It's not like I have a lot of business in here today, so moderators are not probably not very busy. But you never know. Someday I might be busy enough to need them, and I couldn't do any better than you guys. I still have a lot to learn. I'm still trying to figure all this out. It's like my notifications. I still haven't got that really figured out, so I can let people know when I'm going to be on. Not that they'd be here. There's a lot of things going on right now. I think Carlos is probably on right now. There may be some people live in the parks already this morning. Pew pew. How many people saw the Martin the Martian from the Mars lander when it landed? Somebody posted a picture of the first images, and there was the Martian from Bugs Bunny standing there looking at the camera. I thought that was pretty hilarious. Okay, well, you can watch mine for fun. Just, as long as you keep watching. Well, Martin the Martian had the P-238 modulator, I believe is what he called his weapon. Oh, wait a minute. What about Blue Nose? I missed something there. Oh, I also saw one that had Bernie Sanders sitting on the surface of the Mars. He looked about as cold as usual. I thought that was kind of funny. Oh, see, Tina, you and I could talk about that too. The moon landing stuff was, when I was growing up, that was just the thing, and I was enamored with it, to be honest. That's why, and I've said this before, but that's why I started building this Saturn V Lego kit. I've never done a Lego kit, but when I saw this one, I wanted to try it because I grew up, watching these things go to the moon, or not. They didn't go to the moon, but launching the vehicles that went to the moon. Oh, well, maybe he was the one that did it. That's true. Blue Nose may have been the one that put that on. You're right, Mike. I'm pretty sure that is true. I wasn't thinking about that. See, my brain's still not connecting totally here yet. After I had the strange, I don't know how many of you guys have had dental surgery. I hope none of you have to ever do that. But they put me under because they had to pull several teeth the other day and work on my mouth. And as I was coming down from that and waking up, I had the strangest, I won't say the strangest dreams, but I guess I was awake. But there was some strange stuff going on in front of my face, and I just couldn't do anything about it. Then later on, my wife and the nurse both said I wouldn't shut up. So I'm glad nobody, I think nobody filmed anything. I'd be like one of those kids sitting in the back of the minivan, talking about all the weird stuff that was going on after they got out of the dentist office. But I think that had an effect because when I was in here by myself and I was telling myself earlier, talking to myself that after the surgery and the teeth were removed Wednesday was actually not nearly as traumatic or as bad as I thought it'd be. And Thursday, I felt great. I mean, I really felt good. But yesterday, it's like it all caught up with me. And I don't know, somebody said it was maybe my brain finally caught back up with the trauma, all the anesthetic and all the anesthesia and all that stuff had gotten out of my system. And yesterday I was dragging. My jaw was sore. Still is a bit, but I feel better today than I did yesterday. Oh, that'd be cool, Carol. Now you're not as old as I am, so that part of space couldn't have been. Is that a leftover thing from Star Wars or? I know, Mike. I still didn't. I turned you blue, and I turned James Ryan blue, and I did that no problem. And I can't do it now. Maybe she doesn't want to be turned blue. She said she was pretty busy. I know she's busy. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But that's par for the course with me, not knowing what I'm doing wrong. I don't know what I'm doing right half the time, and I sure don't know what I'm doing wrong. That's the problem. If you don't know what you're doing right, you don't know what you're doing wrong. Sometimes you don't know either one. I'll figure it out. Well, you are a little bit older than I thought you were, and that's please no offense. I'm 10 years older than you, so you probably do remember some of that stuff too. I talk to so many people anymore that are, and I work with a lot of much younger people, and you'd say something like, you remember the moon landings, and they look at you like you had 3 heads or something. Ah, that's how you do it, Mike. All right, Tina, I did it, but you don't have to worry about doing anything. I just did it now so I could learn. Mike taught me. So Mike, I don't know what the hell we'd do without you, buddy. You know more than you're constantly teaching me things. Tina may have moved on. I may have vaporized her again. She may have gone back to the other chat. She's watching. Well, I appreciate that, Tina. Actually, I'm honored that you would even consider it. Like I said, I feel like such a neophyte at this, such a newbie that I'm surprised that anybody wants to have anything to do with me. So Mike knows things now. I'm telling you, Mike knows things, and he knows things that you don't think he'd know. I mean, he sees all. I guess that's true, Mike. The more time you spend on YouTube, the more things you're going to learn, good or bad. So, Tina, tell me, are you in a snow zone? I don't know. Did I ask you how much snow you had? Carol said they had about 9 inches or had that much left. I don't remember if I asked you or not. Aren't you in Pennsylvania? Okay, I'm locked up here. What am I doing? Oh, I'm not locked up, but I can't move my chat window out of the way. Well, I can do this over again. Okay. Now. Well, it's still not working right. Dang it. Bear with me, folks. Reason it's not letting me type in the chat. It's not letting me. My chat's not scrolling. At least not my chat in YouTube. Now my chat on the. Maybe that was the problem. There it went. I fixed it. Oh, that's right. You're close to Tina Marie. That's right. She said you're neighbors, or somewhat neighbors. Okay, so the Tinas are in New York. See that's one problem with the Tims. Now the Tims are a little bit more scattered out. Although, see, I know one of us lives in Tennessee, and me, and there's one in Kentucky. I don't know if the other Tim lives in Tennessee also or not. I'm not sure about that. But the one thing I do know is there's only one, and one only, Mike Wheeler, and he lives in Florida. That one I do know. And he ain't got no snow. Well, I figure if you live in the same state, you're neighbors. So, and if you're in a nearby state, you're still a neighbor. I have friends that lived out west, and New Mexico, your neighbors, the closest neighbor you had might be 45 miles away. It used to take all day just to go to the grocery store. People get used to traveling bigger distances out there. Yeah, what I was doing, Mike, it was frozen up, but I figured out why. I had something on the screen open at the same time, and it wasn't letting me do that. So once I closed one, then I was able to move into the other one. So I did finally figure that out. That's right. There is only one Mike Wheeler, and we are honored to have him with us today. I'm proud to know him. And I wish I could remember. I need to go through pictures from years ago. I bet anything I've seen Mike perform in shows and parades, and because back when he worked at Disney was when we were going a whole lot more often. And I bet anything that I saw Mike and just didn't know him. Uh-oh. Got my new hat on, Danny. I bumped it with my glasses, or my glasses bumped into it or something. So let's see here. I know that Carol is a school teacher. Tina, what do you do, or what did you do, or did you work outside the home? And please don't let me insult. I'm not trying to insult. I'm just asking. My mom worked hard all her life, and but she was, she worked at home. She babysat. She had a daycare back before there was many daycares around, and she raised a bunch of kids after my brother and I grew up. And most of them, to the day she passed away, they used to come see her all the time. Still call her Peggy. That's another thing. This YouTube family we're I'm going to say a part of. I feel like I'm a part of it, and certainly you guys are. But it's a very eclectic group of people. We've got lawyers and pilots and uh, retired folk like me and people that just all walks of life. I mean, it's quite amazing what we do, or know the people we know and that are in this group. Oh well, I know that's tough work, Tina. I respect you for that, and I appreciate your efforts. And Mike, God Almighty, you're typing upside down and backwards. The only other Mike Wheeler you will find will be in the upside down world of Stranger Things 101. LOL. Okay, Mike. I have to about turn my head upside down to see that. It is like a real family, and like I don't know who else it says it, but maybe it's Stacy or maybe it's somebody else. But it's the family. It is kind of the family we choose versus the one we just got and didn't have any say in. But it is a different group of people, and I know it's made a huge difference in my life. I retired 2 years ago. 2 years ago this month. In fact, maybe 2 years ago today. Certainly 2 years ago this week. And I was really not ready. I mean, my body was, unfortunately, and I didn't have a lot of choice in the matter, but I hadn't really thought about it much until then. I'd like to have retired in better health and been able to do a lot more of the things I plan, and hopefully I still will be able to when things get a little better here, or as I get better. But I was kind of down and out and sort of blue, and this whole group just picked me back up. It's made a huge difference in my life. I don't want to make somebody feel responsible somehow, or I don't know the right word here. I'm searching, but it's made a huge difference. Okay, it's Donna. I knew it was one of them. I just couldn't remember which one. But it's really made a big difference for me. I told somebody, and I may have said it in here, but for years I've been a Disney file since I was a kid. I mean, I grew up watching Walt Disney on TV and always wanting to go when he started building Florida, and I remember that. I remember when he died. I remember how heartbroken I was and thinking the world will just never be the same. How can we keep going without Walt and all that kind of stuff? So I've been a fan forever, and went down there for the first time in the early 70s, and went back off and on for years. And then later on, my kids got grown. We started going back regularly and more often and more often. But most people I knew didn't understand that. Some people thought, wondered why they'd go once and never go again, or that kind of thing. But and he didn't have anybody to talk to about it. You couldn't. I'm sure there's some online communities, and we used to get involved in the Diz boards, the chat rooms, or not the chat rooms, but the what did they used to call those things? They post on the boards, and you could talk to Disney about people there who felt the same as you. But this is different. It's become a different thing with YouTube, and this whole group is, you can say stuff about Disney, and nobody on here is looking at you like, what the heck's wrong with that guy? I mean, everybody here is kind of that way. So it's really a really nice thing. Carol, my family never did get the Disney thing, period. I don't know if my mom and dad ever went with me. My wife said she thought we might have went with them one time. And I say that, and I think, God, I would remember that, but I'm not positive. But my brother and his wife They went down one time to spend a few days, and honestly, I think they hated it. They just all they saw. Now they have no kids. Don't want any kids. They never want any kids, or she didn't. And all they come back with it was this image of what they call stroller hell. And that, I could go down there, and I never thought about stroller hell. It just wasn't. I could find too many good things not to focus on the bad. Excuse me, guys. Pardon my. Okay. Yeah, you're probably right too, Tina. It's probably not just about Disney anymore. But that's a common thread, and it's the way a lot of us got connected. Um, I used to go online years ago. I don't know how many years ago, but there was for a little while there was a time when you could go online to Disney's website, and they actually had a couple of live cameras that would show different parts of the park or downtown Disney. Seems like there was one there, and I'm showing my age, I guess, again, but Disney Springs, and there was a couple cameras at different places, but there weren't very many. And I used to just go there and watch because it was the only thing I could get. And now we can go online and watch people there while we're there and live vicariously through them, so to speak, or watch their vlogs and catch up. Oh, no. Okay, Mike. Well, I'm probably not too far behind you. What time is it? Oh, it's 11 o'clock. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here, Mike. Thanks as always. And love you, buddy. And I'll probably see you over there in a little bit, too. Yeah. You have a magical day, Mike. And I'm sure we'll probably get off here pretty soon. We're not many people left, and you guys probably need to do other things. And I don't know, Carol, when do you have to hit the road again here soon? If you do, I may wait till you get ready to leave and then sign off. But I'm going to kick on. If Jeff's coming on, I'll probably go watch them for a little while. I may have to lay down and take another nap. I didn't sleep a whole lot last night either. Well, while you are here, who's left? But Tina or Carol, either one. I mean, I may have asked this before, but I'm going to assume you have been to Disney World. I know there's a few people on that haven't and want to go, or have been fans in other ways. But when did you go first? What was your first visit, or the first time you got to go down or go out? Maybe you went to Disneyland first. I got to go to Disneyland once. We were there for my wife and I spent a long weekend, 3 or 4 days out there once. And that was great. She's been a couple of times. She was born in La Jolla, California. So both? Tina? I'm confused. Oh, both as in Disney World, Disneyland, either one. Anyway, some of her family, her mom's family, were still in California. So, oh wow, Karki, you and I were there about the same time. I think I was there in '73. I'm pretty sure. That would have been the summer, probably June or July. That time. The very first time down there was a flyover with a friend of mine in a small plane. He took me down there and we flew over and flew around above the place, and I took a bunch of aerial photographs just for gee whiz. And I have those somewhere in a box. I got to dig some of those out so I can see. I'd like to show at what stage Disney World, because I think they were building Space Mountain at that time. Oh, both as in Carol and you. Yeah, either one, both. 1995. I was 35. I only ever watched one Disney movie. Well, that's interesting. So you just went because you were there the first time, maybe? Now, who knows, Carol? We may have been there at the same time in 1973. I was there in 73 and again, I think in 74. And then I know I was there in 75, maybe a couple. I was going to school in Florida for a couple years, and uh, my wife today, her parents brought her to Florida. We were, lovesick, missing each other, so they actually drove down to Florida, and she and I got to go out to Disney World for a day, and that was the time. That's when we both went. That's the first visit for her. And that's when we decided that, at that time when we got married, if we did, we were going to come down there for our wedding or our anniversary or honeymoon or whatever. But of course, that never happened. Back then, the only thing that was there was a campground Polynesian and the Contemporary. And we always figured we'd stay in the campground back then. So, well, you had a big split there, Carkey. It changed a lot between 73 and 92. I can vouch for that. I was there. I actually had a big gap too. I was there in the 90s or 70s, and then didn't go back again till 92. Actually, March of 92 was the first time we ever took our kids to see them. We stayed at the Caribbean beach, and just absolutely fell in love with the whole thing, and saved up our money and went back the next spring for a 2-week trip. We were going to be the vacation of a lifetime. And we stayed in one of the garden wings at the Contemporary, which back then wasn't nearly so expensive. Oh, that's cool, Tina. That's kind of how it should be, really. Well, Carol, we just got all kinds of near misses here. We were there in March that first time, though. We were there on probably was spring break for our kids in 92. We were there for 4 or 5 days, and then we came back. We knew we had to go back, so again, we saved up. The only bad thing about that deal was that's the year in 93 when we went down and stayed at the Contemporary was the trip where I lost my job. I got laid off while I was down there, and we were actually down there with. We weren't really down there with them, but we ended up going at the same time. Some friends of ours that I worked with him, and they were neighbors, and their family was down there at the same time, and we all kind of found out at the same time that we no longer employed. So, but our trip was paid for, and I just said, the heck with it. We're staying. There wasn't nothing to go back to at that moment. Things were being sorted out, and I couldn't really do anything about it. And probably wasn't the best trip down, but it was a good trip. I made the best of it. I'm sure I could have been a little happier, but I wasn't going to break my kids' heart, and they had things planned. And my oldest daughter, wanted to ride the horses at the campground, so we did that, and just things like that. I think around this house, Tina, it's always been happy husband, happy life as far as Disney goes. But my wife's almost as big an enthusiast as I am. I mean, she's had her ups and downs at times, but we've always had great times when we were there. So it's a great place. I mean, everybody needs a little magic in their life, Carkey, it wasn't, or Carol, it was a stunner. I won't deny that. But at the time, we actually thought we were going to be going back to work. There was another gentleman that had another business in the same hangar that we worked in. He ran the avionics and radio shop for the airplanes there, and he was going to take us over because he kind of needed us as much as we needed him. And he actually asked me to come back to work for him, but if I could give him a little bit of time. So I kind of thought things were going to iron itself out. So I figured, why not just stay here and finish the vacation? And like I said, it was already paid for. You had to pay for that kind of thing in advance anyway. So as it turned out, that didn't happen either. So I went back to college and spent the next few years, chasing, working part-time jobs and going to college. But we still managed to scrape some Disney trips in there. Like I said, it was definitely a damper on things, but we survived. And here we are today. I mean, in some ways, it was the best thing that ever happened. I changed careers and went into something I actually had always wanted to do. And I guess I had two things in my life that I always wanted to do, and this was actually the first one. And I didn't do it because most people convinced me that there wasn't a future in it. When I got a chance to go back to college, I did it. So I was in my 40s by the time I got finished with my master's degree, but so be it. All right, it's 13 after. I think I'm about to get off. I don't want to hold anybody up. Let Tina get back to her tending of the other chats, and I'm going to go see who else is doing what. And I really, really, really appreciate you guys being here. It means the world to me that you show up, and I'm going to keep trying and hopefully keep growing a little bit. And I'm gonna try to have some folks come on and maybe do some interviews or something. I'd love for Tina or Carol or either one of you guys that want to be online. I'd like to invite you in and get to know people, let other people get to know you. I'm never going to be as big as some of the other folks that are in this community are YouTube wise, but I enjoy doing it. I enjoy, I guess, hearing myself talk to a degree. And I've got a mind full of trivial knowledge. Some of it's not worth knowing, some of it is. And if I can share it with people, then if nothing else, I can get it from running around inside my head and share it out a little by little. That's right, Tina, to infinity and beyond. So I really appreciate you guys being here. Like I said, it means the world to me. You guys are great. There's Dean back. Dean, we're just about ready to sign off. I'd give up on you, buddy. I told him just a minute ago, I said, if Dean's not going to be here, there's just what's life without Dean? Thank you, Carol. It's always nice to have you in here. I appreciate you putting up with my antics and, going along with the lost car key routine because, that's just something I do. And Dean, I hope you're going to have a good rest of the weekend. I don't guess you're going back to Disney World anytime soon, but I'm still anxious to hear what else you got into. So anyway, that's it for this Saturday morning. And you guys all have a great Saturday. Hopefully the weather will ease up on you if you're snowed in, and things are supposed to start warming up, I guess, all over. But you don't have to have a channel. I mean, you can just tell me about you. I don't think it's, that's one thing about this. I'll say this before we go. It's one thing about this whole community that I think's sometimes missed, maybe not, but I don't think that's what's important. There's a lot of people that focus on the creators, as they're called. I don't know if I consider myself a creator at this point, but and I know that's important to a lot of people. And I hope I can do a little bit more with it too. But I think the main thing is that we're just all people who have some common interest and actually care for each other. People here care about their fellow women. And I don't think it's important that you have I don't think it's the most important thing is see whether or not you have a web page or a YouTube channel. I think there's a whole lot of things about your life in general that people, can find interesting. So who knows? I don't think that is the most important thing. I've yet to meet anybody in here that I didn't find interesting, if not downright fascinating. So I think we've all got something to offer, whether we're online or not online, whether we've got our own channels or not. So anyway, I will cut it off at that. I don't want to get sappy, but you're always welcome here, and I would be more than happy and proud to have you online with someday with me just to get to know you, and we'll go from there. Who knows what we'll talk about next week? I just had a thought popped in my mind. There's a ghost story that runs through my family that's related to my family that's actually on the internet someday. Maybe we'll talk about that next week and just show some pictures and do something like that. Who knows? Excuse me. So I'm going to sign off. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Wherever life takes you today, be safe, be careful. We'll see you back next week. And you too, Carol. I'm talking to you too, not just Tina. I think it'd be fascinating to talk to you and learn more about your school teaching. I still believe that teachers are one of the things that anybody can have. I feel like teachers are so underrated and so, I don't want to say mistreated, but certainly not held at the esteem they should be, much less the pay. So goodbye. Happy Saturday. Happy weekend. Talk to everybody soon. I'm sure I'll see you around in the chats. Good day and so long.